Hello, Leo. Welcome to your April forecast. So let's see. I'm trying to do you like, I went Taurus, Aquarius, Leo. I'll do Scorpio next because when I do the fixed signs, it's almost like creating foundations of the house. I totally know what's happening. So you can see my little method of to madness, kind of like a thing. So let's see, Leo. Oops, you have Sky Kitten and your not only one, but two, actually three cards, three majors are just like basically covering this card. You know that they always go to the first major because minors are more or less moods, and moods can change, and like you can affect moods, right? Whether with drugs or just simply with an attitude. But this is really big. First of all, these two cards are your cards. This represents a Leo and this represents your planet, the sun. And this is one of the karmic cards, consequences. It's a justice card, which kind of like you can see the kitty cat all tangled up, trying to get to something, to the birdie, to the solution. But the whole idea is it's kind of like some kind of like detanglement from the situation and possibly even from somebody. This also can be seen as kind of like reaching out, and this is also card of commitment, and so is this is also card of pregnancy, and altogether can be seen as some kind of like proposal and some kind of like things moving forward, even in a legal direction, to kind of like be completely honest with you, which is a good thing if that's what you want. Now you have a Seven of Fire. That usually shows up if you have been, I would not say struggling, but trying to enforce your limits, or you worked really hard on something and you finally feel that you reached kind of like a level where you're satisfied with yourself, and then like it feels like all over again you have to reinforce the boundaries. All over again you have to set kind of like that line in the sand of some sort. But you're in a power position. If somebody is trying to chip down on you or take your power away or take your wind away, this simply means that you made it. Just try to take it in a positive kind of like stride. This is crossed with Eight of Earth, and I'm going to take the bottom cards out as they have been they're like extremely important, right? What we see over here. So 8 is definitely relating to your card and to that sense of diplomatic approach, communication, generosity. Here is like attention to the detail and training. It's the most pragmatic one of all the 8s because it's Earth. We can see the mummy taking her offspring, taking her litter to kind of like to the big world and teaching all the kind of like ropes and everything kind of like that she knows is transferred. Maybe you also have to see what wisdom you have learned or inherited from your ancestors, as well from your parents in particular, because there is like something over here, and it almost like shows that something you have to take forward with you and some things you need to leave behind. So you have to find this differentiation. You're kind of like peeling things off, and they're no longer like it's a fork in the road, even with your own family. Well, then you have a Three of Fire here that you're living in the past. I guess maybe you have sprung into some kind of like new level of existence or being or doing. Three of Fire is always like you're like loading your ships. You're sending your ships to the distant world, and you're hoping it's going to be sold. You're hoping that the ships are going to come back loaded with the buckets of gold. Ships are also relating to friendships, relationships, partnerships. So any of these areas, which is pretty much everything, is covered over here. So you already made investment of some sort. It could be like, that you're now expecting returns, but in the meantime, you have to fend naysayers, you have to fend the attitudes, you have to fend whatever. Somebody's like not feeling you should get it, or you deserve it, and you're going to put them in their place. And there is the stars, and guess what, this is the higher vibration of your card. Why? This is 8, and this is 17. 1 and 7 makes 8, right? So it's almost like two sides of a coin. On one side is more or less like earthy existence, kind of like what you can see the kitty is looking really straight ahead, and here is looking above and seeing that lion, right? And it's almost like a full circle, basically. As I said, two sides of a coin kind of makes sense because depending where it flips, right, it shows it's the same basically thing. So this is a comfort in your own skin. This is a comfort even if people want to kind of like take you down. This is also on the top, which is extremely important because nothing is preventing you looking up in the sky. This is the opening of a hope. And I mean, you know that this is like my favorite card, that one and this one, the sun, your card, because this is like something that is like high celestial thing. I have to stop this. All right, shall we continue? Because it's a busy day in a cat tarot house. So I was really telling how important this really card is because it's the horizon above you. It just like feels like you're looking in the vastness, into limitlessness of the space, pretty much like in this card as well. So you're getting, I mean, the moon is also a celestial being, but it's kind of closer to us, right? Versus this can go to any basically corner of the universe, and it's also on the top of your chart. And I can see that there is like something that you have set in motion, possibly last month, that is actually being even reached further. Even though this kitty here is also jumping, it's not really looking up. It's like this kitty looking ahead. So it almost like feels to me that you have a good strategy, that you're observing things in the immediate vicinity around you and how it works. And this all would make sense if there are like some kind of nuptials happening or some kind of like celebrations happening. Kind of like there is like cohesiveness about your reading so far. So you're making sure of things are working okay, catering, organization, like hell, it's a COVID. You have to check if things are open. I don't know where you guys are in Toronto. It's semi-prison because we are under lockdown for like 4 months, 5 months, and they just keep calling it different names: emergency break, red zone, gray zone, stay at home, but it's essentially the same thing. And so basically you have to check and everything, and yet you're looking into some kind of like big beginning, and you're looking into something that is kind of like above and ahead. Your own house, you're a little bit tired, I guess. You kind of like want to be left alone. There's like the sense of lavender. So guys, encircling yourself with purple and using lavender as not stimulant, but rather kind of like a tonic of some sort, it's going to be very beneficial, right? Maybe you just need to take a rest. This is also a prayer of gratitude. It's a 4. It's a kind of like firmness. It's like when you kind of like set the goal and you want to get to this goal, you're running toward this goal, and you get there and you go, did you ever see the like Olympics and the runner goes through the finish line and then just stops and they bend down? That's kind of like that stage where you're giving your thanks to kind of like job is done. It's finally done. Even if it's not perfectly done, it's done, kind of a thing, right? Oh, actually, this goes here. This is not so much in your house. This is like something that is really warning you that you really need to take care of it. And again, this is signifying a new beginning, even though it's a very sad card. Kind of like it shows kind of like, hey, everything is leaving us. But I really see this card on a positive side and that was the very first thing that came to my mind when I saw these 3 cards, is there is some kind of karmic release. You got this karma card over here. This is showing up here as well. Maybe you have somebody who is a Scorpio, or you have a Libra, or you have Aquarius in your life, or another Leo. There are lots of these karmic intersections that I actually see happening this month. And of course, this is going to make you a bit tired. Look at this. It's a kind of like wind thing, which way the wind blows. It's going to make you really exhausted. You kind of like really feel, why do I have to keep telling the same thing people over and over again? It's going to feel a little bit like that, and it's going to make you tired. when the death is coming in the upright stage, it is really telling us about the situation where, you know, something needs to end and something else needs to be stepped in into that space. So, you know, cause sometimes we just don't want to get rid of the stuff. Well, then we are telling universe there is like no room for new and new things. So this is kind of like opening that energy, and it's really telling you the time is really now. Then we have Six of Sky over here. So this is in your environment. So maybe somebody walked away. Maybe there was like an argument. Or it's going to be an argument. There is clearly connecting over here that there is like some disturbance, and that could be, it's not you, that's the reason, because it's in the environment. Otherwise I would say you're just walking away from things that are no longer serving you. But I think somebody is walking away from a situation that is tricky, that doesn't have a solution, that everybody has an opinion, you know, and every opinion where it's just like 2 cents. You know how people are really vocal when they want to tell you what to do, where they're not looking in their own lives, kind of a thing, right? So it can kind of generate a situation like that, right? And it can be also a situation that is generated without much spoken word. And that can happen because they're walking away because maybe from you. And this is a good thing, by the way, right? It's kind of like funny card because we can see scratches on this kitty's head. It's okay, I had enough. It's enough. Kind of like, you guys do whatever you want to. I'm going home, kind of a thing. And it's kind of wise things to do. But I also see that you have your core, your authenticity so highly developed. You are not taking no from anybody. You totally know who you are. And something that worked for these people before is not going to work anymore. And it's too bad for them. Kind of like things are going to be so much better for you, right? Then we have a hopes and fears, and we have a sky tone. So we had a sky kitten and we have a sky tone. You're spending a lots of time this month in the realm of your head. This is all about goals, you see. This is maybe a little bit further away. Can you see like to the ribbons? And the ribbons can be shredded, so they're not very firm. This is a little bit more firm, and it's actually very, very close. However, here you are not going to fall too kind of like much down, and you're going to land, maybe squish a few shrinking violets. Here it's all up in the air, so it's bigger reward, but it's bigger kind of like issue that can be generated as if we fall down. So that's the fear. Oh my gosh, I'm going to fall flat on my face. And so you'll spend too much time, I would say, because look at those skies that might actually pull you back a little bit. So when you start thinking that you're overthinking, you're right. And this is the time to pull back. This is the time to reinforce that you have the goals, that you already set them in motion, and maybe it's kind of like time to kind of like have these hopeful wishes and kind of like send this kind of like news to the universe. And look at this, then you have like Two of Sky again. It's kind of like indecision, and it's almost like that you have a choice between your heart, and this is kind of linking with this one, and it's clearly karmic. And we have like this moon, so something is linking with your heart. There are parts of you that are very emotionally engaged into something. There are other parts that they think, and this is the conflict, that what you want emotionally is not necessarily good for you. So between the rock and the hard place, as they say, you know. And this is kind of like creating this is possibly creating tiredness, creating confusion, melancholy, depression. But also, if let's say there's like something very joyous happening this month, as I believe it's going to happen with quite a few of you, it's simply reminding, look, you know, you have planned, you have done a good thing. Don't these people who question you give even time of a day, even a second. You just keep moving along your path. You're waiting for your ships to come back, and now it's just simply it's kind of really interesting. We see this wind, right? The wind is like always the theme with skies. We see the wind here, where the wind blows, and kind of like you have to make this determination. Same thing here, but kitty cat here just doesn't want to do anything with anything because right now it's time to kind of like take a breather. But since this is connecting to this, that something is getting detangled, something is getting answered, you are getting your answers, and you are actually moving ahead in a really beautiful and elegant way. The only time that you will feel that maybe you're kind of like going a little bit backward is when you get stuck in between these two options, where you mature to the level that you know what is the best for you, and sometimes the old ways still creep in and want to kind of like push you in the old directions. Well, you have a new plan, you have new goals, and you just have to make sure that you are like staying on that path. So my dear Leo, I hope this is helpful for this month, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you. I have a live every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and also join me on my Instagram, where you can kind of like see the daily kind of like readings, and you can claim this energy, and you can kind of like know what is the generic energy of the day, just to see how your plans for the day fit. Love you. I'll see you there, and I hope to hear from you in the comments. All the best.